Well, hello guys, this is Kim here.
And this is Odingo.
And we are here to do our 7th episode of Relationship Matters. I just want to remind everyone as well why we do this, because I think we do not want people to get lost into why we are doing what we're doing. Our aim and our focus is to help build families, strengthen relationships, and just encourage people to respect one another as much as they can. So we will continue to do this and share our truth as much as we can, coming from our experiences of being in relationships or being in marriages before. So we understand quite a few of what's been happening. So once again, we also thank everybody who's super supportive and sending us lots of encouraging words and messages. We appreciate you. So this week, our message is from one of our young listeners who sent us a specific request and asked us to speak on a point about parenting respectfully. So what's your view on that, Mr. Jackson? Parenting respectfully, from one of our young viewers.
I think that was quite touching, because that young viewer we know personally. And that person was in our life, has been in our life for a very, very long time. My view on that, parenting respectfully, serves two purposes. Number one, it's, as the title implies, our podcast is called Relationship Matters.
Yeah.
And everything to do with relationships, we have the perspective of including. So parenting has to do with what you do as part of the family, and also with you and the person that you are with. You see? So what I'm looking at is, how do you parent respectfully? How do you communicate with your partner, your spouse, and then how does that also filter down into the next generation? So how do you work as a team? And how do you also, from working as a team, how does that teamwork radiate to others in your immediate vicinity, to your children, to your co-workers? Because it is going to have a significant impact on all concerned. Right. So, parenting respectfully. How do you not undermine each other?
That's very important, because that's a very big issue with relationships, especially people who have blended families also.
Exactly.
Step parents.
Oh, yes.
Because I will tell my child what I want to tell my child, and I, even if like you're supposed to be my spouse.
Yeah.
And respectfully, you are this child's father. You are this child's parent.
In the home, you are.
But some people will say, "Well, you're not the child's father. My child will do whatever."
Yeah.
And what that does is that by you saying that, especially making the child aware that you speak that way to your spouse, it puts a disrespectful taste in their mind, because they believe now they can speak to the other spouse however they feel, because they can say, "You can't tell me what to do because you're not my dad." Or "You can't tell me what to do because you're not my mom." You understand? So we have to be very respectful as to how we deal with certain situations.
But also we're also looking at we're looking at the situations where the biological mother and the father, where the child will now form a contract with the mother or the father and say, "Listen, mommy, don't tell daddy this."
Oh God, that happens all the time.
Exactly. And the child will now swear mother or father to secrecy to the other partner.
That's just being manipulative, though.
Children are manipulative.
They
are lovely. They are God's gift to us, but they are little manipulators.
They are manipulators.
They will say anything
to get whatever they want.
Anything to get whatever they want, to get their way. So what do we do, and how we have to understand as parents and as adults our responsibility to guiding them, to coaching them, to support them to become the best adults possible. We have to understand, for that to become a reality, the foundation that is going to bring them up is the parents, is the adults. So how do you parent respectfully?
And I think one of the things that young viewer did mention to us was the way that because we're going to give an example from our parenting, the way we parent our kids. And I think they looked at that and it was like, wow, because I saw that when I was here.
Yeah.
But when I left and went to live with my parents, I saw something different.
Yes.
So I think the point we're trying to make here in our household, so we may set an example and say, okay, maybe that's a good way to follow.
Yeah.
In our household, we try to make our children understand there's no dad against mommy or mommy against daddy. You bring something to me, I will speak to your dad about it. You bring something to your dad, daddy makes it very clear, I will speak to mommy about it before I come to you. We do not give anyone an instant decision on just so.
But that's how that is how I was brought up as well. I was brought up that way. I had mommy and daddy in the house, and I was able to, even if mommy is not around or daddy is not around, the other would always say, oh, okay, I would have to, I'll have to have a conflab. I'll have to consult with. I can't say yes, I can't say no. And as a child, I always found that to be, time consuming, and that's going to delay the decision.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, literally, despite the fact that I was not even I needed that decision in about 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get the decision right there then.
Yeah.
So you see, sometimes children do that. They want to rush you. They want
but that's
to
why we
sway
set the bar in your house. That's why in our household we say, no, I will speak to daddy first, or you will say, I will speak to mommy first. We'll get back to you. It doesn't matter what the situation is. We will get back to you. And I think another thing that young viewer also realized, that we were never loud, or there was never aggression or disrespect in the house. Because when we speak, one of the things we try and we've always maintained, and I love this, is we do not swear in our household. You understand? Right. Some people may lose, everybody's different. But for me, it's more or less like there must be a level of respect where I'm not going to lose myself and start swearing at you, or you are never going to be raising your voice and swearing at me to the point whereby now we are then, cursing off each other in our house, and our children are hearing that. So they've never heard that. And I think at the end of the day, that's a solid foundation, because we can get angry.
Oh, yeah.
And I can say to you, what, if we want a proper burst out with each other, let's take a drive.
Yeah, let's go somewhere
quiet. Because that way, me and you are in the car, we're not in the house.
Yeah.
And in the car, I can tell you whatever you want. You could tell me whatever we want. But the point is, we still come home, we're still parents.
Oh, yes.
You understand?
Oh, yes.
So I think it's about setting grounds and setting boundaries in your house. Because, and I think a lot of people most probably do not do this kind of thing, because the children will just come to you and say, well, mommy, what do you think about this? And you will just make a decision. You have to realize, by making a decision without actually coming to your spouse and seeking and saying, you know what, so and so said this, what do you think? That means so much to a husband or a wife.
Yeah.
Because it means that they are involved. Because you cannot just do everything. Like the woman cannot just say, I'm making all the decisions here. No. Or the man cannot say, I'm making all the decisions here. That's never gonna work. Because at the end of the day, you are undermining the other parent. You are not giving them a voice. And you need to give each other a voice.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah.
I'm from, we're from the Caribbean. And something that I know is very popular in my country, it's when you hear the mothers would say, wait until your father come home. And, number one is that would instill fear. The fear that will actually make a child begin to shake. But I think what is important is also the mother needs to know she has that kind of authority anyway to make a decision. And not give her authority away like that.
Exactly.
In the Caribbean, they say, wait until the father come. The father is the authority figure, and he would say yes or no. What he says is final. But, when it comes to you parenting respectfully, I think it's very important to, if we scale things back a bit, from the time a child is very young, and you can look at that child and say, this makes sense and this don't make sense, but I cannot make a decision unless I get your father. Or someone would say, I cannot make you could have a conversation to tell the child, well, this makes sense and this don't make sense, but I will not be able to make a decision until I speak to the other half of this parenting team.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I'll have to speak to your mom. I have to speak to your dad, because I understand what you're saying. And also it's important for parents to know that when they're speaking to their children, to give them, sometimes you give them some things, there are room for negotiation.
And another thing.
And there are some things, there's no room for negotiation. What we say is the decision. And children would actually ask you why. What? Because we said so. Because that's what it is.
That's what it
I've
is.
explained to you why already.
Yeah.
And whether you accept it or not, you can't still proceed to try to dig to find out why more. Because I've already told you why.
Yeah. And I think another important thing about parenting respectfully, remember our kids are learning and modeling off us. Because they are also going to be parents themselves. They are watching the way we parent them. And that's going to impact the way they raise their own kids. You understand? So if they knew from, if we're setting boundaries and saying, listen, no decision is made between one or the other. Our kids they know that. They know they can't come to you and say, well, daddy, can I do so and so, or can I go so and so? They know this has to be discussed. And it has to be a joint decision.
Yeah.
For the most pettiest things, just to go and visit a friend down the road, let me speak to mommy about it first. Because we both need to be aware. You understand? I need to know where you're going, and your mom needs to know, and we both need to be in agreement. That is setting foundations for the next generation, because they are growing to understand this is how they did things, this is how we are going to do things. And they don't swear at each other, so we're not going to swear at each other. My mom and dad, they spoke to each other respectfully, and we are going to speak to each other respectfully. It's about setting examples, positive examples, because at the end of the day, these things make better adults, in my opinion. Well, what do you think?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I believe that when you are looking at parenting, it's really interesting, and it's not as simple and as easy as it would appear, because I heard a story just early in this week. I heard a story of a gentleman who he's not from the UK, but he came to the UK and he had a UK wife. He had a British wife, and her opinion on parenting is, you don't shout at my children. Well, when they're not her children, they are their children.
Yeah.
So the father cannot discipline the children. He cannot discipline the children. He can't tell them not to do this and not to do whatever they're doing. They're allowed to do whatever they're doing.
That's very wrong.
Well, that's wrong based on our standards.
Yeah.
But for her, it's they will do whatever they want to do, and just let them get on with it. And his parenting background cannot come into play.
So what's his input?
His input is to have them when she says to have them, or his input is to parent them by physically being there and not to do anything more than just eat, clothe, and speak, to interact with. But that's all it is. That's as far as it goes. It doesn't go anywhere beyond that. And I just found it really interesting, because I think parenting is a combination of the things that we accepted or we agreed when we were brought up, and the things that we would have actually learned and how we improve on, or we want to get the optimum, we want to get the best out of these children.
And another thing people don't realize, and I think that goes for a lot of women here, I'm speaking to women at this present time, a lot of women do not understand that men also suffer. There's a lot of men out there, they believe they are voiceless, powerless in their homes.
That's so true.
You understand?
Yep.
And people believe that men do not suffer, especially with mental health. It's like you come home and you do not have a voice. You come home and you do not have a say. The woman is detecting everything. Or you do this when I say so. And at the end of the day, they may not say everything, but these men are also suffering. And if you're trying to build a relationship, build a strong family in your house, you have to respect each other's opinion, and you have to share parenting equally. It's not about what I say goes and you can't say anything about it, because as a body you are one. It's teamwork.
It is teamwork.
So we're going to end this podcast by just reminding families out there, especially those with children, to be mindful of what you say, how you parent, you understand, and just respect each other. Do everything with respect.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So again, thanks so much, baby. Look, it's already time. It's over. It runs so quickly, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
Yeah.
But yes, indeed. But thanks so much to
everyone. Thanks so much, everyone.
Have a wonderful week.
Have a lovely week. Thank you so much for listening.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.